Do you feel like the money in your wallet is disappearing faster than before? Prices are soaring, bills are rising, and bank accounts are dwindling to the point where many people are exclaiming, "I don't know how much longer I can hold on." But the truth is even worse. In some American cities, people are running out of money right now. Not next week, not next month, but now. Grocery stores suddenly became empty. The family had to sell the car and move out of the rented house. And the once bustling streets are now showing signs of a city recession. This is no longer a warning. This is reality. In today's video, we'll take a look at 10 American cities that are feeling the first pangs of pain, places where cash is running out, savings are disappearing, and economic pressure is squeezing every family. Let's start with the first name. You'll be surprised. Houston. Just hearing the name, you can smell the oil and gas, see endless steel pipelines, and an entire economy built on the back of energy. But according to some recent analyzers, this city that once flowed with black gold is facing a somewhat ironic situation. Revenue isn't increasing, but expenses are ballooning like a hurricane over the Gulf of Mexico. And the storms here aren't just real storms, they're financial storms. To make it easier to visualize, imagine it like this. Houston's budget used to be like a 50-litre gas tank. Each year, the city pours a steady amount of property tax into it. But in the last few years, a few more holes have been drilled into that pot. A hole named disaster, an old infrastructure name. A broader one called climate costs. Little water goes in, but a lot leaks out. No wonder the gas tank empties faster than expected. Houston is the hardest hit by climate. Floods, inundations, storms. Every time we clean up, repair roads, pipes, and drainage systems, it's another sigh of relief for the budget. And what few people say outright is, the population is growing, but the tax system isn't keeping up. The city is bigger, the needs are greater, but the returns haven't increased proportionally. The middle class, the group that pays taxes most regularly, is also the one that clearly sees the changes. Roads are repaired more slowly, streetlights stay off longer, and buses come less frequently. In many suburbs, residents have to fend for themselves, as if living in a self-service city. Some elderly people who have lived in Houston for 30, 40 years say they have never seen the city as overwhelmed as it is now. And that says a lot. Sometimes, Houston is like a gasoline tanker truck on the highway. It looks impressive, but when it needs more fuel to keep going, you find there's not much left in the tank. A paradox that only America could create. The energy capital, but still struggling for every dollar to repair roads. But the more important question is, if a resource-rich city like Houston is in this situation, what will happen to places that rely on offices, tourism, or commercial real estate? And that's the story of the city in the next position, where it's not the climate, but empty office buildings that are dragging the budget down. San Francisco, where was once called the Golden City, where a small apartment the size of your living room can cost as much as a ranch in Texas. Yet today, according to numerous financial reports, this city is caught in a more ironic paradox than imaginable. The average income is among the highest in the United States, but the budget is so deeply in deficit that many services have been forced to tighten. If Houston is a story of real hurricanes, then San Francisco faces an invisible storm called empty offices. You know, downtown San Francisco used to be the beating heart of the tech industry, but as remote work became the new normal, those skyscrapers suddenly turned into giant, silent boxes. Some analyzers show that the vacancy rate in the main office area has soared to its highest level in decades. And when the office is empty, what happens? Trade taxes are reduced, property values have decreased, businesses are relocating. The city budget lost a key revenue source. To make it easier to understand, Imagine this. If downtown used to be a money printing machine, now it's like an iPhone with a dead battery. Beautiful, expensive, but doesn't do anything. Behind that phenomenon lies a more simmering reason: the wave of migration. The cost of living ballooned like a hot air balloon caught in the wind. Many middle-class families are choosing to leave, taking with them the steady tax base that San Francisco relies on. Those who stayed lived in a situation of high taxes and low services. Transportation was cut, urban sanitation was delayed, and many neighborhoods deteriorated faster than expected. And here's the ultimate irony. Silicon Valley creates AI, blockchain, self-driving robots, rockets to Mars, but can't save the budget right in its own backyard. A sentence that sounds funny, but accurately reflects the reality of the golden city turning into an empty city. The question is, when San Francisco's economic engine falters, who will be the first to be affected? The middle class is still trying to hold on, paying taxes regularly and hoping the city recovers. But if San Francisco collapses due to empty offices, the next city is making things difficult for itself with decades-long pension obligations. That's the story of Chicago, ranking at number 8. If San Francisco is hurting financially due to empty offices, Chicago has a much more classic pain. A pain that has lasted for decades, as persistent as the winter here, a huge pension obligation. Chicago is like an old athlete still trying to run a marathon. Each step carries the burden of the past. Commitments, expenses, and promises made decades ago that still need to be fulfilled. According to many financial analyzers, the city spends more than it earns, even running a deficit of hundreds of millions of USD each year. It's as if they're trying to fill a hole with a small shovel. The more I fill it, the deeper the hole gets. Let's put it this way for easier understanding. The pension fund in Chicago is like an old wooden barrel. You pour money into it, but the rotten boards from who knows when just drip, drip, drip. The more you pour, the more you lose. And the people who have to bear the most are the middle-class citizens who pay their taxes regularly and sacrifice a lot to keep the city running. Many elderly residents say, "I've paid the highest taxes of my life, but the city still says there's not enough money." A sentence that sounds light, but contains the weariness of many generations. Chicago is not inherently a wealthy city, but the tax rate here is among the highest in the country. The middle class is squeezed between two dimensions. Income doesn't increase much, but property taxes, sales taxes, and service taxes keep rising steadily. Meanwhile, the expected services are gradually declining. Security is understaffed, roads are deteriorating, and education is facing budget cuts. The most controversial question is, can Chicago pull itself out of this spiral on its own? Some experts believe that without drastic reforms, the burden of the past will continue to drag the city down further. But there are also those who believe that Chicago has weathered many storms before, and this time will be no different. The question is, will the future be strong enough to save a past that is too heavy? And if Chicago is grappling with its own financial legacy, the next city faces a different pain. The future is too expensive, too uncertain, and too fragile. That's the story in New York City, and let's go there right now. New York City. The city never sleeps. The city of Broadway lights, of buildings so tall you'd think they could hold up the sky. But according to many recent financial reports, behind that glitz and glamour lies a figure that would make anyone pause. NYC is facing a net negative financial position of over $186 billion. In other words, this giant is standing on clay financial feet. If Chicago is weighed down by the past, New York is attacked by the future. The future of a city whose economic model has changed faster than the government can adapt. Why? Because the commercial office sector, a pillar of NYC's revenue, is no longer operating as it once did. As hybrid work becomes the norm, many skyscrapers that were once tax-generating machines are losing significant value, leaving gaps that budgets will struggle to fill. Imagine this. Before, Manhattan was the economic heart, beating strongly with every pulse. Each heartbeat is a corporate tax, a commercial tax, a service fee. Now, that heart still beats, but weakly and erratically, like a marathon runner who only discovers at kilometer 30 that they're out of water. Another often overlooked reason: the post-COVID wave of people leaving the city. Middle-class families, the group that keeps New York running, are moving to states with lower taxes and more affordable costs. They go hand in hand with the tax revenue that NYC has always relied on. Meanwhile, the cost of running the city remains the highest in the country. Social welfare, public health, security, education, everything is expensive. New York's middle class is caught in a vice. High taxes, high cost of living, pressured services, while the city's financial future is shaky. Some experts say NYC still has the potential to bounce back. Others believe the city's economic model has changed permanently. The question is New York adapting, or is it trying to cling to a past that no longer exists? And if even America's largest city is struggling with this change, then on the West Coast, another city is facing its own pain, where the Hollywood glamour isn't enough to hide the burning red financial figures. That's the story of Los Angeles, which ranks at number 6. Los Angeles, the city of lights, of red carpets, of billion-dollar films, and the American dream packed into every frame. But according to many recent financial analyses, behind that glamorous facade lies a far less dazzling reality. The city's budget is struggling like an actor who's finished their scene, but still has to force a smile for the camera. If New York is losing strength due to office devaluation, LA is taking a double hit. On one side is the volatile commercial market. On one side is the unprecedented increase in the cost of addressing homelessness. Those two factors combined create significant financial pressure on the budget. And what about homelessness? It's a long-running film that the budget has to pay for production, but never ends. The costs of support, temporary housing, security, healthcare, etc. just keep increasing steadily like a runaway truck going downhill. Many residents of LA say they've never seen the city spend so much without seeing much improvement. Middle-class families, the backbone of the city, found themselves in a dilemma. Taxes are increasing. House prices are so high they seem to challenge even Hollywood. Public service is stressful. And it is they who feel most clearly the disparity between the dazzling light on screen and the reality of everyday life. There's a saying that many older people in LA genuinely utter: "The lights are still on, but the budget is completely dark." A sentence that sounds funny, but no one finds it amusing. Is LA entering a period of transformation, or is it gradually sliding into a state it can't control? Many experts believe the city needs a completely new financial model. Others believe that America is witnessing a shift in urban centers, and LA is just part of a larger trend. But if Los Angeles is still struggling with its own grandeur, the next city presents a different paradox. Young, developing, but with old and tired pockets. Let's move on to the story of Denver, who is in 5th place. Denver, a young, energetic city, full of newcomers and opportunities. Just take a walk downtown on the weekend, and you'll immediately see how vibrant life is here. It's enough to make many other cities envious. But the funny and rather painful thing is that according to some financial analyzers, Denver's coffers are older, more tired, and deplete faster than the population's youth. It's a paradox, isn't it? The city is developing, the population is increasing, new houses are being built, and coffee shops are opening continuously. But behind that lies a financial system that is sighing. Why? Because Denver is facing a problem that many growing cities are seeing: population increasing faster than the ability to pay for public services. As thousands of young people flock to the city seeking housing, jobs, and a better quality of life, the city must expand everything: schools, roads, transportation, infrastructure, and healthcare. And the cost of those things is not cheap. They are old, expensive, and increase steadily every year like an annoying alarm clock. A significant portion of revenue from trade, once a stable resource, did not increase as expected. Many small and medium-sized businesses are relocating, and some remote work arrangements are leading to a decrease in tax revenue. Meanwhile, the costs of social security, community support, and social services are ballooning like an overloaded backpack that young people carry when climbing the Rocky Mountains. Middle-class residents in Denver feel this very clearly. They still believe in the future. They like the youthful pace of life. But as tax bills rise, transportation services are delayed, and streets deteriorate faster than expected. They begin to ask, is Denver growing, or is it being swept up in the fast pace too quickly? Is Denver running faster than its own capabilities? Or is this just a transition phase that all cities experiencing population booms must go through? Regardless of the answer, Denver remains on the list of places that will feel the pain first as millions of Americans are running out of cash, just in the spirit of the National Financial Report. And if Denver is a young city with old pockets, the next city presents a different paradox. Top-notch education, high intelligence, but a budget stretched thin. That's Boston. Boston, the city of academia, of ancient lecture halls, of the brightest minds in America. A place where just standing in Cambridge and taking a light breath makes your IQ increase by a few points. But according to many recent analyzers, the irony is that the most intellectual city in the United States is lacking funds for almost everything. Why? It's not because Boston is poor, but because the city's revenue structure is quite unique. Major universities, Harvard, MIT, Tufts, own vast amounts of real estate, but are tax exempt. It's legal, correct policy. But for the city budget, it's like a big cake sitting right on the table that you're not allowed to cut a single slice from. Meanwhile, housing prices in Boston are so high that many middle-class families feel like they're living in a competition. Who can endure better? Rising property values are driving up property taxes, but that doesn't mean the city is flush with funds, because the cost of operating public education, infrastructure, transportation, and security is higher than the national average. A city of knowledge, but the roads still need repair, the trains are still delayed, and the budget is still stretched thin. Longtime residents of Boston often say to each other, half-jokingly, "It's true, this place has a high IQ, but the budget is low." The problem is, Boston relies on unstable revenue sources, while costs are increasingly rigid and growing. The middle class pays their taxes in full, but still finds services lacking. Many people ask, if a knowledge city can't solve its financial problems in time, then which city can? And if Boston, the #1 educational city, is short on money for everything, then the next city will be even harder, where the cycle of poverty, taxes, migration has lasted for decades. That's Philadelphia, in third place. According to recent analyzers, Philadelphia is one of the cities with the highest poverty rates in the United States, a figure that shocks many. Nearly a quarter of the population is living below the poverty line. It sounds as heavy as a rock placed right on the city budget. And when there's a lot of poverty, how does the city react? Increased taxes, payroll tax, corporate tax, property tax, you name a tax, and Philly has probably tried to implement it. The vicious cycle starts here. High taxes, businesses leave, fewer jobs, income decreases. Taxes are raised again to compensate. Businesses continue to leave. An economic whirlpool kept spinning, dragging the entire city down to the bottom. Middle-class people in Philly feel this very clearly. They pay more taxes, but services are more difficult. Roads are deteriorating, security is under pressure, and schools are underfunded. Families with better means left. A silent but impactful migration, as they bring with them the city's most important asset, a stable source of income. And here's the quip that many locals tell each other in the small diner in South Philly. Philly taxes everything, except why they're still short on money. The big question here is Philly trying to fix itself, or is it just trying to patch up a ship that's been in decline for decades? No one dares to say for sure. But many experts agree that this cycle of poverty, taxes, migration is not easy to break, unless there is a very strong shift in direction. And if Philadelphia is an example of a city worn down by time, then the next city is proof of something else. When the population declines for too long, finances collapse along with it. And even if it recovers, the shadow of the past always lingers. Let's move on to the number 2 spot and the story of Detroit. Detroit was once the industrial heart, where American cars rolled out into the world. But if Philadelphia is a story of a poverty tax migration spiral, Detroit offers a completely different chapter. When the population declines for too long, the city's finances plummet uncontrollably. Let's try to visualize this clearly. Long streets, old steel mills standing bare, abandoned rows of houses stretching out like a post-apocalyptic film. It wasn't Hollywood that built it. This is Detroit in real life. And when the population dropped from over 1.8 million to less than 640,000, the city resembled a 3-story house, but only had enough people to clean 1.5 floors. Everything else costs money to maintain. A declining population means lower taxes. Tax cuts mean a shrinking budget. Meanwhile, the cost of maintaining a large city with aging infrastructure, cracked roads, dilapidated schools, etc., remains at a high level. The city must maintain more money than it has. It's like someone trying to maintain an ancestral home where every wall needs repair, but their pockets are empty. What made the Detroit story even more difficult was that as the young and middle-class population left, the city lost its most stable taxpayers. At that time, social, security, and educational programs all had to bear more with fewer resources. Some analysts say Detroit is recovering. Right. There's an effort. There is light. But the financial recovery of a city that once collapsed is not a matter of 1 or 2 years. It's been a long journey, and it's still very fragile. In your opinion, how many other American cities are quietly following the path that Detroit paved? And will they dare to change course before it's too late? And then, at number 1 on this list, the city that felt the pain most acutely and quickly, is where the financial situation is sliding downhill like a runaway car on a steep slope. That's Baltimore. Baltimore, number 1 position. Not the kind of top 1 that people want to show off on the leaderboard. This is the top warning. A city that once had great potential, a strong culture, and an important seaport. But according to the latest financial analyzers, Baltimore is declining faster than any other major city on this list. The most obvious phenomenon, tax revenue shortfall, partly because of population decline, partly because businesses are moving away, and partly because property values in many areas are no longer sufficient to boost budgets as they once did. Fewer people, less revenue. And little here doesn't mean a few percent. It's enough to turn a budget into a shirt that shrinks right out of the wash. Beside that, there are high security costs, one of the city's heaviest expenses. When the social order situation is complex, the city has to spend more to maintain its forces. And this cost, like a truck climbing a hill with an old gearbox, just keeps increasing steadily with no way to reduce it. Try to imagine Baltimore as a boat trying to row upstream. But with every stroke of the oar, they encountered another whirlpool. Old infrastructure, high social welfare needs, and insufficient tax revenue to cover expenses. And what worries many middle-class residents the most is the feeling of not knowing what will be cut next. Traffic, education, public service? Are they all at once? What's worth considering is, Baltimore isn't the only city with those problems. It's just the city that's showing most clearly, most quickly, what many other places will likely experience soon. And the question left for the viewers is, if Baltimore fell so quickly, where is your city on this slope? That's what makes the story of millions of Americans running out of cash no longer a prediction, but a reality unfolding before our eyes. We've just visited 10 cities experiencing their first financial pain, and you've probably realized something too. This isn't just a story about the government. It's a story about every family, every street, every bill Americans face every day. It's not a distant prospect. It's happening right now, in very real ways. So, in your opinion, what's causing American cities to run out of steam so quickly? Outdated policy? Is the economic model changing? Or is it simply that the cost of living has exceeded the system's capacity? Please share your perspective in the comments section. If you found today's video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the latest videos. All content in this video is analytical and synthesized information from multiple sources, and is not intended to provide financial advice or absolute conclusions. You have every right to self-evaluate and critique. That's also what makes this community stronger. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next video.